What's up guys, it's Tactic Gamer today, and today's video is going to be some Arma Reforger. We're going to talk about the announcement that Bohemia made on the PS5 mods. As you know, as the beginning of this video, they're coming soon on May 22nd. And we're also going to talk about some of the misunderstandings around the PS5 mods and why they didn't come so soon. But before you do that, you know what to do. Hit the like and subscribe button and notification bell to see my live streams and videos. And furthermore, let's get into the video. Now guys, you want to know if it's going to be fully fledged or limited to the mods. Well, here's from the head developer of Bohemia, and it says here, thanks to an incredible collaboration with Sony PlayStation, we're bringing full modding support to Arma on PlayStation 5. We're not just talking about new models, but true full-fledged modding, including scripts. It is an honor to be pioneers in this space, and we're immensely grateful to Sony for helping us blaze the trail and develop a system that works on their platform. Enjoy it in the journey. It wasn't easy, but it was absolutely worth it. Coming very soon. And thankfully, this is a good thing that Sony and Bohemia were able to come to an agreement on the mods themselves, and Sony approved. And we already knew that the mods were going to come because a couple months ago, the community asked one of the devs if mod support was going to come to PS5. The dev basically said yes, and Sony agreed, and also that the workshop would also be included. But guys, that really was a long time ago. I understand that people were really frustrated because Bohemia wasn't really saying anything between the months of mods were going to come or not, because a lot of people thought it was going to come in 1.3 with all the things that were in update 1.3, but it didn't, and a lot of people were frustrated that it might not ever come, or it might not be full-fledged modding and it would be limited. Fortunately, it wasn't, and they confirmed this, and I'm glad and I'm thankful for that. Now, I do want to talk about some of the misunderstandings and some of the misinformation that was going around the mods and everything, like blaming Sony, and Sony was the one being difficult. And I think that really wasn't the truth, because I try to look everywhere if there was any confirmation from Sony or Bohemia that this was the case, and it just wasn't. Now, I'm not trying to crap on anybody or anything like that. I just want to let those people know, look, if you don't know what's going on and Bohemia is not saying anything, that's just really on Bohemia. I think you shouldn't just go ahead and say, because it's the billion-dollar big gaming company, it's okay, let's blame them and they're the reason. If you just don't know, you just don't know. It's just wait and see, or you need to press Bohemia to give more information. That is one thing I will critique on Bohemia. As much as I like Arma Reforger, I have almost 500 hours, but I will say that Bohemia has a tough time communicating, being transparent in what they're doing with the game itself. Now guys, I do understand that they do have a roadmap. That's all fine and dandy. That's not the communication I'm saying. I think it's when you're trying to communicate something, it needs to be official, and I don't mean commented on a commenter that asked them a question. I think it needs to be official on their X, Twitter page, whatever, or on YouTube, to say, hey guys, this is what we're working on and we're updating you on this. I think transparency and communicating is very key for any developer. Doesn't matter if it's indie, AAA, BB, it doesn't matter. I have a standard there. If you're not communicating with your community enough where they feel as if they don't know anything and they're just hoping that you might say something, I ultimately think that is not good for the game. Now, that's my piece on that. But like I said before we start, pointing fingers, if we don't know, we need to go to the actual people who are supposed to be working on these things, and that is Bohemia. Another question is why did it take so long for Bohemia to put mods in the game? Now, I have only one or two answers on this. The first one being basically, at the time, probably Arma Reforger, throughout the couple years that it released on Xbox and PC, that the popularity of the game probably wasn't as great, and they probably thought, maybe on PlayStation it's not going to be that good neither, maybe a couple thousand players. But when it released on PlayStation, that seemed to not be the case, and it seemed like that the game was very popular on PlayStation as well, and it actually boosted up the numbers almost to 100,000. Roughly around 77,000 players were recorded to play Arma Reforger, which I estimate around all platforms roughly around 100,000 players, if not a little bit more than that. Which I think the devs were surprised, and they said, screw it, you know what, might as well just update this game and actually do the full thing. Which I think that's why it took so long for the mods, and they had to go through Sony now to get the mods on the game. And they also have to do the update 1.3 for the game, put new content as well, you know, and also keep the game stable on the console platforms and even on Steam. Or you can go down route number 2 and say Sony was giving Bohemia a rough time, which I'd rather go with number 1. It makes more sense because Sony themselves is not necessarily that Sony doesn't want mods on games themselves. I think what it is just, you know, respect, credibility, and trust, and also making it official through the devs that mods can be on the game. I think you can't just simply have a random person going through the source code. You don't want another 2011 with PlayStation where somebody hacked into the thing and shared information. You don't want that to happen again. So it's understandable why consoles don't want certain people to just go in and mod shit and, you know, might do something crazy, you know. And it also has something to do with like performance. They don't want something that could break the game. They want something that can functionally work with the game, because they don't want customers to be refunding the game. That's something no company wants, so that's just how it is. So, and I also saw some things on Reddit from Sony basically kind of being low-key, like removing limitations on external scripts for modding on certain games like Skyrim, as you can see on screen right here, which, by the way, I think this is good. I think if the modding community or just gamers themselves advocate more for mods to be on games, but in an official way with permission from the companies themselves, I think, for an example, a game that has mods for me that I like is a Ghost Recon Breakpoint, where they have cool mods, and I think I'm probably going to try to get the community to try to advocate for mods, at least do a workshop for that game, you know, just like how Bohemia does, and hopefully that might come true, I hope. But like I said before, it just has to be done officially with the permission of the company. If they say no, it is what it is, and respect it and move on. If they say yes, that's just great for everybody. And I think mods should come to console all the time, where people can play mods on other games. I think there's a lot of games out there with good mods I think people can enjoy, and I think there is a beneficial to having mods on console. But yeah, I'm glad the mods are coming and we got all this out the way and finally here, and it's coming on May 22nd, and I can't wait to play. And if you want to see more content on Arma Reforger, you know what to do. Hit the like and subscribe button and notification button when you see my videos and live streams. And it's TacticGame here, and I'm out. Peace.